Okay, well, this is cool because I don't think, I mean, I've been working with Dean for years on these conferences. I don't think we've ever had a CTO before, a real live bits and bytes guy, huh?
Yes, absolutely.
So you were 20 years at Microsoft.
I was.
Ever in Xbox, or was it always in Bing and search? And
Yeah, I was in Bing and Search. I was in Office. I somehow never found my way to Xbox, although it was incubated a few offices for mine secretly down the hall.
what building was that?
That was in Red West, and Jay Allard was there putting it together.
The old, I remember the stop sign said "Stop AOL." You probably remember that too.
Back in the day.
Yeah, exactly. So what caused the movement from Seattle to Redwood Shores?
Well,
Which is where EA is based, for those of you not in the EA world.
my decision to join EA started with my love of games since I was, about this big. One of the best parts of my childhood, and my dad would bring me home games, and I got a little older, started to program, got in high school, started writing games, even sold a few.
What was your first platform?
I was working on the TRS-80 at the time.
Radio Shack.
Yeah, so I sold games, made a little bit of money for college. No games that I'm afraid anyone here would have played. They weren't very good. But games is just something I've watched become so amazing in the world and spread that the opportunity to be part of something like that was attractive to me. Something like EA, a company with so many brands, with such a great leader under Andrew Wilson. Again, how could I resist that? At a time where technology was about to transform the industry even more so than it had in the past. But really what sealed the deal for me was when I interviewed with them. They were a little nervous about hiring a CTO from outside the industry. So they actually had me talk to 14 different people. And the good news of that was when I went home, I had a very strong reaction that I couldn't ignore, which was, I'd really like to work with those people. I like them, I trust them, they are passionate. And I joined, and it turned out to be exactly that case. And so many great people at this company. And that was really the biggest factor.
Now, of course, the studios at EA are spread all over the world.
Yes.
Are your teams all in Redwood Shores?
No, my teams are also spread around the world. So we work incredibly closely with every studio around the world. So we co-locate talent with studios in many cases. When you think of our central tech platforms we have, when you think of Frostbite, you think of our digital platform, you think of our security teams. It's really important to be hand in hand with our game teams, with our studios.
When you say your digital platform, is that Origin?
Origin, as well as that's what we call our services platform. Okay. So things that power the game, things like matchmaking, achievements, things like our commerce platform, our data platform, and our cloud work. And so all those things. So all those things are incredibly important to have co-located. So we have a lot here in California, but we have a lot in Stockholm, in Vancouver, all around the world.
And how many people in the tech organization?
We have if you add it all up, we have approximately 1,000 people. Wow. We've been growing our focus on central tech over the years. As we see this big transformation, the digital transformation really taking place, and as we've been getting traction, now that Frostbite is powering almost all of our HD games, our console and PC games, now that our services are integrated, we're getting great leverage. So we've been able to expand the capabilities in those and then get wins across the board in all of our studios. So it's been growing over time.
And then is your organization where EA has its kind of future-oriented look at tech? I mean, is your group responsible for things like VR and AR? And Live streaming.
Yeah, innovation in the tech world happens all over the company. We really we like to sort of encourage that everywhere, right? So game teams do a ton of innovation. There's a lot of tech that happens there. Central teams do a lot of innovation. Certainly AR and VR is something near and dear to my heart, and I think the future of gaming. And that as well, we've shipped some great VR games on the PlayStation. We've done our X-Wing fighter, which is super fun if you haven't tried it, but that's of course powered by Frostbite. And increasingly, I think into one of the areas into the future, I'd say, is AR.
And do you have any particular, help me think about this from a platform point of view. So the VR is console and PC. Will AR be mostly mobile for you?
I think we're early in the industry journey for VR and AR. I think they're going to be transformative if you go forward a few number of years, right? And AR in particular, I'd say. If you go out, I picture a world, I kind of can't help but picture a world that has fewer screens mounted on walls, sitting around, that we carry around in our pockets everywhere. And I like to picture a world that has a way to digitally augment reality, literally, with amazing computer-generated experiences that merge with reality. You know, if I want to have a screen pop up, I'd like to just have a screen pop up, and you know, does it have to be physical or can it be digital? Maybe I don't need to know the difference. You know, and more we see things like Frostbite as incredibly good, we think, at generating games. And what those really are digital experiences. They're really simulations of the real world. And as we think about an AR future, far into the future, we see a lot of need to have really realistic renderings of things that can merge with the real world. So we're kind of excited to see where that goes.
You know, it's interesting that you talk about display, because this is, you know, SoftBank is kind of famous for having a 300-year vision. And clearly the elimination of screens is going to happen a lot sooner than 300 years from now. You're the only person in the industry that I've heard talk about it yet. I've heard people at SoftBank talk about it, and I've heard people at research labs, but are we really possibly looking at a future where the screen is in our brain?
Yeah, I won't say I know exactly what the projection technique will be into our vision, but I honestly can't picture a world that screens aren't much more dynamic and can come up. You know, in gaming, we're thinking all the time about players. We're trying to think, how do we build the best experiences? How do we reach players everywhere where they are? And today we see a proliferation of screens, right? So it's you know, I guess what I'm saying is a little bit of against that, but I do think that at some point, you know, right now we're focused on how do we reach our players on every screen so they can have choice, they can play wherever they want to play however they want to play. But then in the longer term, if you think in an AR world, then things may change. But yeah, I don't know if it's going to be, I really don't want to picture a brain implant. so I'm going to try and get that out of my head right now.
Maybe it'll be wireless.
Okay, I'm going to go with that one, thank you.
Looking forward, what are some of the things that you're focused on? What are the 2 or 3 tech projects that are going to be most important for the future of EA?
So I think number one would be what we call our player network, which was how do we connect all the players to have experiences that are better because they're connected. Today we have over 350 million players visiting us at regular time. We think that is going to grow as the gaming industry is growing. We can imagine 1 billion. We think there's over 2.6 billion in the world today who are gamers. And gaming is just more fun if you're connected. Gaming is more fun if you can have personalized experiences. So we think about that and the technology that you have to do to enable those experiences for players. I'd also say the cloud and AI and their impacts on gaming are two other giant opportunities for us and for gaming. And they're both multifaceted. The cloud, will help in many, many different ways. Just starting now from things like making sure games are always available, the servers work really well, making sure they're secure, making sure that our teams can all be really productive. But as you go forward, new scenarios that aren't possible today in gaming, where you can burst and have near infinite power to power a game for short amounts of time, where you might be able to stream a game, onto, again, any of these screens or implants that we may have. And then
No, you won't get that out of your mouth.
No, you've got that one in my head. And AI, of course, gaming's done AI since the beginning of time, but AI today is so much more capable, and tomorrow is going to be amazing. And I do think that the way we handle AI, the way that we can make AI available to the studios, to game makers, and to players ultimately, is going to be a very big game changer in the industry.
All right, let's take a couple minutes and talk about that then.
Awesome.
If you're up on Sand Hill, the pitches are, it's a AI machine learning platform for blah, 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 blah. So can you de-BS this all for me? First of all, I think it was interesting you said it's been around forever. Explain that. What is AI and where did it start?
Yeah, well, AI, the reason I say...
Is that the 8th day that God created AI?
Again, I'm gonna refrain from that. But AI in gaming, it was... that's how you control your characters in games. That's how you control what happens in the game. So of course that's been around. You've had that in games forever. But AI that we talk about today, and really the term has just shifted, it now refers to basically data-driven algorithms, often machine learned, so that they can have some kind of effect on an experience, on a world, or on a process. And it's, so at its core, that's all it is. But what it enables is I'd say as big as any of the hype today and where it's going to go, right? AI, we're using it today to help test our games so that we can have fewer bugs, fewer crashes, fewer problems when a game comes out. We're using it today.
So say 30 seconds on that. Mm-hmm. So is a game simulation?
Yeah. So when we make some of our big games, right, or BioWare games, or DICE games, games are getting bigger and bigger. Players are wanting these games to be bigger and bigger, and we're trying to deliver them. They actually get harder to test. How do we ensure quality in our games so that players can actually have fun and they don't see some kind of glitch that breaks the immersion or it doesn't work? It's incredibly important, right? Or the fun doesn't happen. So yeah, we've been doing more and more in terms of automating game, and automated testing is not new, but using AI to do it is fairly new. And we've done this in many of our mobile games. We've done it in some of our bigger games. We just demoed something coming out of our seed team where the game is, AI is learning how to play Battlefield and explore, or Battlefield-like games. And now we're going into games like Battlefield. And basically you want to, how you can explore the game, how you can have agents that can be playing it, that can be seeing what's happening, simulating players, lets you get a lot more coverage much quicker. And if you want to retune a game to make sure you've got fairness, fairness, incredibly important, a well-balanced game. Again, one of those things that players demand, and we try and deliver. But if you make a change late in a game, how do you know it's still balanced? If you make a change after a game launches, and you and you want to put it out in the real world because you have a new edition. How do you make sure you don't break the balance? How fast you can cover that game is really important, and AI is really core. But that's just the beginning for AI, right? Things like testing are exciting. They can have a big impact. They're anything but BS. They're very tangible. But now where are we going? We do things, we're trying to put AI in the game designer's hands and in the creative's hands. So if you want to create a bigger world, that's beautiful. That's awesome. You say, I want to have a lake over here. You surround it with trees and animals and grass and terrain on the side of the lake. And then you want to change it a little bit. You're like, oh wait, now I want it, I want it to be a little different. You have to move every tree, every blade of grass, every animal. No, you should just be able to drag the lake a little bit, and all that should readjust, be lit in a perfect way. And of course, you can override it, but it's a tool that's empowering. It's using AI to empower the game designers to do a better job. And you could just keep going on the AI road a long way about having more interesting worlds. What's interesting about our world is the diversity of everything in the world, the intelligence in the world, whether it's animals, whether it's people, behaviors that are complex. And AI is amazing for this. And it's going to come, and it's opening up all sorts of new avenues, I think. We like to say that gaming will change more in the next 5 years than it has in the last 45.
Wow.
And I think when you look at it, it's actually not that bold a prediction.
Do you see that as being weighted more towards PC than console, or all platforms in various ways will change that much in 5 years? Will mobile look that different in 5 years?
Yeah, I think all of the above, to be honest. Console is thriving, and the ecosystem is doing well. PC gaming is actually doing better than ever. It's thriving, and mobile has been on a multi-year tear. We see more players playing on more devices, playing more games in more different ways than we've ever seen before. And for someone like me, it's incredibly exciting to watch how tech can help satisfy those needs. But I actually think all of the above are going to change, and there'll be new devices, new ways to play. Once you, I don't know, how are you going to play games when your car is self-driving and you're bored on your commute?
Well, there are these voice games now. There's Alexa games and
absolutely
and Microsoft Home with what's the Microsoft Alexa?
Yes. Cortana, and the Google one as well. Yes, and all of these, all these are going to breed, I think, ever new ways to play. I think there's going to be an explosion in both the current ways and in new ways.
So you must be competing with research labs and universities to hire these people. I mean, you sound like you sound like your team sounds like a group from Caltech or something.
We definitely have a lot of people who are attracted to the same problems that attracted me, I think, to EA and into gaming. So we have a lot of people who are joining the gaming industry right now, who probably wouldn't have thought about it 5-10 years ago. Now, they all love games, or they wouldn't join. And the ultimate, if you only like tech for tech's sake, you shouldn't be in the gaming industry. You have to love tech because it helps make amazing games, which helps make players have fun. But it is absolutely attracting in all sorts of new disciplines. Data science is really important to gaming now. We building platform software.
We didn't say big data yet. Now we've said it. Okay.
Hopefully no one's got a bingo board, but gaming is definitely a big data opportunity. But all sorts of interesting technology problems. I think of it as this perfect marriage of traditional creativity, kind of graphical creativity, audio, game design, with this hardcore tech and that marriage of the two is exactly where gaming lives. So yeah, it's attracting in a lot of new talent, I think.
Are you collaborating with universities? I know EA's had a big USC relationship for years.
We absolutely do. We have a lot of collaborations both with universities as well as with many other companies. It's one of our, I think, strengths as a company is that we try and partner really well. We try and collaborate. We even try and collaborate throughout the gaming industry really well to try and, there's a lot of things we have shared interests in, and we try and open up the doors there. We all care about security.
Yeah.
Security is really important in the gaming world. We have a real responsibility to our players to keep them safe, to keep their data safe, to keep their the games safe and fair, and we collaborate on that. Both university and all the tech companies in the industry, all the gaming companies in the industry as well.
You think blockchain will be part of the tech that will protect security in the future? Or?
I do. I think blockchain has a role.
It's not just crypto.
No, that's right. That's right. Yeah, blockchain is very interesting. We're trying to figure out. There's a lot of different scenarios that blockchain could be interesting in. I'd say we are right now are paying a lot of attention and trying to figure out which are the ones that we think are most interesting. But it's an interesting piece of tech.
All right, we only have a little bit of time left, but I do want to ask you about eSports. You guys are increasingly talking about your eSports efforts. I know there were a number of people that were here today that are down meeting with Todd today about various issues in eSports. Has this provided particular technology challenges to EA?
It sure does, yeah. So one of the best things about the central tech that we have in EA is we have all these amazing studios to help guide us. Where they see where the future of gaming is, and we follow that vision and we expand the tech in those directions and bring it to everyone. Competitive gaming and eSports is one of those directions. So we're stretching all of our tech platforms, Frostbite, our services, to make sure that it's awesome for eSports. There's new scenarios there, like you have to think about something you don't have to think about without eSports, which is how do you make games awesome to watch? A lot of people will only be watching games. They actually won't ever play as much as we want everyone to play. Some people will love watching. And that's a new set of tech. How do you make it incredibly interesting? Do you let watchers, viewers, control camera angles in the game? Do you let them produce their own videos of people playing? How do you allow them to share it with their friends? So we work very closely with all the studios and also the teams like Todd's and our competitive gaming division to guide our central tech forward.
Excellent. Well, I personally found this very interesting. I've interviewed a lot of EA executives. Tell Andrew that as much as I love him and his commitment to players, I thought it was fascinating to have a CTO here for once, and I hope we'll see you again.
Well, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thanks,
I really appreciate it.